There's many things that I feel like is often overlooked because we only see it as a problem.
It was very much not talked about. It was just rub dirt in it.
Yep.
You know, try harder, push harder.
Yeah, get over it.
Get over it, right? Those are words you don't want to say because
Nope.
then something comes up, you're like, whoa.
Because the universe hears you and then they say, oh, buckle up, I got something for you.
I think sometimes it is very therapeutic just to be able to say what has never been said.
Yeah. Well, welcome everyone to the very first episode of The Lighter Side of Heavy Things, a show where two therapists, myself, Chris, along with Dwayne Horton here, where we take a look at the world of mental health through the lens of two clinicians who've been in it for a little while, sharing our thoughts and insights as well as the things that we feel are very relevant. This show is meant for our fellow therapists as well as any average day person who's wanting to understand things a little bit more, or perhaps is a little bit curious about what therapists are actually thinking when they're not sitting with them across the couch. So what we're going to be spending today doing a little bit is just kind of introducing ourselves, talking a little bit about what's got us to this point, what we do here at Pinnacle, and kind of where we're hoping to go. But I'm going to kind of turn the time over here to Dwayne to allow him to kind of share a little bit about himself and his journey.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Chris. Like Chris said, this is mental health. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of different thoughts, feelings about what it is. Definitely misconceptions for sure. And I like what you said. The whole point of this is to make some a place where people can learn what it's like for therapists. Because who does a therapist go to talk to, right? We talk to each other. We talk. Some people times we have our own therapy. But it is so. This is meant to give that ground for that. So, by license type, I'm a marriage and family therapist, and so what that basically means is I went to school of marriage and family therapy, did a 2-year graduate work, and then did 2 years postgraduate work, and we did a bunch of a lot of trainings along the way, and had a lot of fun, and made a lot of stories, and made a lot of memories, and so that's kind of how I started into this profession. Is it's not the path I would have chosen for myself if I was going back at 18. I know there's a lot of therapists who wanted to be therapists, but I was never one of those therapists who wanted to be a therapist. As a when I was a teen, I got myself into quite a bit of trouble. I had a lot of anxiety. I was a very anxious child. Ever since I was a kid, I was anxious.
Yeah.
And in my family, we didn't know how to talk about emotions. My parents were the most amazing people in the world, and I love them, and I honor them. But they didn't know. And back when I was young, we didn't talk about anxiety, depression, ADHD. I mean, ADHD started to become a thing when I was a little bit older, but it was very much not talked about. It was just rub dirt in it.
Yep.
Try harder, push harder.
Yeah, get over it.
Get over it, right? And that's partly why my parents took me to go get help, because they're like, oh, you don't know what to do with this kid. He's anxious. I hated it. And so I never wanted to be a therapist. But I decided that I wanted to do something with my life. And so I was going to go build bombs because I thought that would be fun. I love physics. I love math, numbers, logic. I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I got into undergraduate school and was studying math. I loved the physics and the chemistry courses. And I tried out all the things that are in there, like, the computer programming, but that was just too much. Pay attention to details and, commas at the end of every sentence or whatever. And it was just painful.
I'm sure that went well with your ADHD.
Yeah, my ADHD was great. I got stories on that about what that class.
Did you put the comma in the right place? Where's that decimal point at?
Yes, and it was not for me. We'll put it that way. Like, or my language would not be good. I just had a hard time with that. And so at that time, I was also dating Sarah, who's my wife. And but I kept having this feeling I should go into psychology, which I thought was hilarious because I didn't even know what an emotion was. I learned to turn off all my emotions. And so I kept having that feeling come up. And so I eventually talked to Sarah. And I told her, I said, hey, look, I think I should go into psychology. And she said, oh, okay, because, I was in the senior year. And she said, well, if you think that and you keep feeling it, maybe you should do it. It'll probably make you happier than you ever thought. Mm-hmm. So I was, 21, maybe 20, 21, somewhere in that ballpark. And I was thinking, well, I really like this girl. I want her to be impressed by me. And she was hot. And so I was like, okay, I'm totally going for it. Uh-huh. And so I switched to psychology. And that took me down a road that was harder than anything in physics. Like the language was different. Yes, we talked English, but like logic, math. If you're gonna launch a pumpkin from a trebuchet, how far is it gonna land? I like that stuff.
Yeah.
Versus Erickson and Piaget and all these things. Well, they are awesome and great people, and I appreciate everything they did. It just meant I had to read. Yeah. I had to memorize things, and I didn't realize how dyslexic I was. And it was very tough. But then on top of that, I had to start going down the road of what is an emotion, and allowing myself to work through some of those feelings and those frustrations. And that just led to one thing after another. I was very, very successful in my undergraduate.
Yeah.
I got to do a bunch of big things. One of those was I got to mentor with Dr. Cindy Berg and her crew, and they did a diabetes study, and I got to manage that.
Oh, wow.
All the data bringing in and all that. And Cindy was the most amazing woman in the world. She was so kind. And she kind of mentored me and guided me. I got, I published papers. I was doing a lot of good stuff. And I thought I wanted to be a researcher. I was applying to graduate school for clinical psychology, but everyone I went to, I was like, it's not right. And so we went to, 1 year after applying, Cindy, Dr. Berg said, Dwayne, I think you should try this marriage and family therapy program. And she's like, I think this is more along your lines. I said, all right, I'll give it a try. We went and interviewed. After the interview, I called Sarah up. I said, we're coming here. I just know we're coming here.
Wow.
And she was excited because it was at BYU, Brigham Young University. And she's like, yes, I don't have to move away from my family. Yes, that's a good idea because I didn't want to move away from mine. I love her family. They're so amazing. And that's just taken me down the road. Like, I thought I'd go back in to get my doctorate degree because I wanted to research, but the older I get, I don't want to research. I love to study. I love to learn. I just don't want to I hate writing papers.
Yeah. You'd rather be in the trenches, huh?
Yeah, I'd rather read. I'd rather be in the trenches. And then that brought me down another path to get me here. So it's kind of been a very eventful journey.
Yeah.
For me. But how about for you?
Well, I would say mine is very similar in your vein, that I was not someone who ever thought I was going to do therapy. That was not on my radar when I started college. In fact, I initially, when I went to college, I was more focusing, I think, in doing architecture, engineering, or other things like that, because that's where I had a lot of college credits that I had completed during high school.
Right.
And so...
and it's fun.
It was way fun to be able to design the way things looked, being able to think about the different ways that items could fit together, how do they work, and being able to understand all of that, right?
Right.
I like to tinker, pull things apart sometimes, look at them, put them back together. But, I have learned over the years not to go too deep into that, or else I end up with just a pile of parts and then think, well, I don't know what to do now. But anyways,
I've done that.
Yeah. So I ended up doing a semester and a half or so with that in mind, and I remember at one point taking a look at what my track record would be to graduate, and I just saw all the math that I was needing to do. And I don't mind math, but oh my goodness, it's not my favorite thing to do. And seeing how much or it's just seeing all of that coursework and everything that was involved with it, and just recognizing that a lot of it wasn't my favorite, I was kind of feeling like, I don't know, should I keep on doing this? Should I not? I also had thoughts, well, maybe I'll switch to something else, perhaps, something that would also make good money. And while I was going through this dilemma, I happened to be talking to one of my uncles, and he had some very insightful words for me. And he ended up in his way letting me know, because he's a very successful man, who he's provided very well and still does provide very well for his family. And that was something I always admired about him, and thought, I want to be able to do that. And he knows what's going on in the world. Maybe I'll ask him and get his insights about things. He's an accountant,
Right.
and anyways,
Numbers.
yeah, numbers. And anyways, I asked him what he thought about it, and what he would think, or what he would tell someone who's kind of in this spot when they're going to college, what they should do. And he ended up telling me, he said, Chris, if I were to do it all over again, I would pick a job that I actually enjoy going to every day, instead of waking up and dreading what I have to do. He said, I make really good money, but I hate doing what I do. It brings me so much stress, so
Right.
much worry. And, I would think about doing something else. And so, taking that into mind, I started looking at what I should do. And I thought about, well, I like to help people. That's something that I enjoy doing. Looked at the pre-med, took a semester of that, and then realized, biology and anatomy aren't my thing.
You don't like that, huh?
No.
I understand.
Yeah, and anyways, I ended up, as I was, taking those different courses, I guess your generals, right?
Right.
I ended up taking a social work 101 course, and as I was taking it, a lot of that stuff interested me more. I ended up getting my bachelor's of social work, and then a few years after that, I ended up getting my master's, and ended up in this world of mental health. And it's been quite interesting. I've been able to have a lot of really good experiences. I've also had some really tough ones.
Right.
And but regardless of that, I will say that I have had many more days where I wake up and I'm excited, or hopeful and looking to go to work, rather than having days where I'm waking up and thinking, man, this sucks.
What have I done?
Yeah. What did I get myself into?
Like, school, what can I do next?
That's right. That's right. No, after I finished my master's, I was like, yeah, I had people who mentioned or said, you're gonna go do your doctorate, and I was like, no,
Absolutely not, huh?
Yeah, because all that would be is research, and I would rather be working with people and helping them figure out their issues and problems than, crunching numbers and coming up with
Right.
all sorts of things, But yeah, so I guess I'm curious, Dwayne, what has been your journey in the field of mental health, and what's led you to Pinnacle?
The journey's been an interesting ride. I've seen I can't say you've seen it all in this world.
Yeah.
Those are words you don't want to
Nope,
say, because
nope.
then something comes up, you're like, whoa.
Because the universe hears you, and then they say, "Oh, buckle up! I got something for you."
You think that one? Like, watch this trick.
Yeah. Yep.
Some of it's fun, but let's see here. So I started my work. So after you get your graduate, you have those 2 years associate licensing. And those were, for those who don't know, that means that you got your 2 years where you're being supervised by somebody who is a licensed therapist.
Someone who knows what they're doing.
Right. And
Or should know what they're doing.
Right. They're not just throwing us into the world like, yeah, you got a diploma, go.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and it's a very good, productive time. So I started in the inpatient world. And as part of my jobs at the hospital I first worked at, I got to see everything, every aspect of it. So I started in the admissions office. So I got to see what it's like to work on and bringing on clients or patients into the hospital, right? And then, as I kind of progressed there, and as it is my competitive nature, I'm out to do the best I can, to be the best, and I started to be very successful. I made very fun friends and great connections, and they started saying, "Hey, Dwayne, you're doing a great job. Would you please come in and work on this the therapy floor," which I had no experience with before prior to this. And I said, "Sure, be happy to work on the therapy floor, and I'll figure that stuff out too." And so I got to work on anything from an adolescent wing to a geriatric wing, from a low acuity unit, which is kind of it's the SAD unit, those who are really going through difficult moments in their life.
Yeah.
And whether they've attempted suicide or thought about it and they didn't feel safe, it's a great place for them. Up to the high acuity unit where you're dealing with, like the schizophrenia and the borderlines and stuff like that, bipolars.
Yeah. Basically, are they serious or not as serious?
Exactly, right? And so it was a wonderful experience. Like, I met many psychiatrists that you love and you respect. You're working in teams. You're working with nurses, care techs. You're working with health specialists. So it's kind of like a whole systems approach to it. And it was wonderful, but it plateaus. And I need something that causes me to grow. I get bored. And when I'm bored, bad things tend to happen. Not usually bad.
Well, I mean, you did say you like to blow things up.
Yeah, exactly. So boredom is bad. So I avoid boredom because it gets me in trouble. And it's like, there's nothing worse than having to explain to somebody, like, well, why did you do that? That's like a dumb thing. Like, I don't know. Like, they look at you like you're an idiot. And you're like, well, it was supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
And they never take it that way, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm always wanting to grow. I thirst for knowledge. Like, I mean, you've seen me read and the books I read and the things that we do, and I love that. I love to learn. I love to be in the trenches and figuring things out on the more of the micro level, not like the macro 5,000 foot view. I want to be in there, and see why things tick. So it just happened to happen that a friend of a friend was asking for a therapist to come down into the Nephi, Utah area, which is rural.
Yeah.
And my friend said, well, I don't know. I got this guy, my buddy Dwayne, maybe he'd want to go down. And, Brent, approached me and said, no. But then I talked to Sarah, and Sarah has a great sense of insight and a keen awareness of the world. And she has great intuition. And she said, oh, maybe.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right.
She's your little Jiminy Cricket.
Exactly, right? She keeps me on the straight and narrow. And I was like, all right, I'll go check it out. So I went down, checked it out. I said, sure, I'll learn how to start a business. And it was like, this will be fun. So I started an outpatient clinic there. I not graduated, but I got my full licensure.
Yep.
I took that test, got all that done, got the hours in.
You're
ready to be
a big
licensed.
adult therapist now, right?
Yes, I'm now adulting as a therapist. and And as an adulting therapist, I was like, the company, this other hospital was like, hey, would you come on? And I was like, nah, you don't need me down here. Because it's a small community, and like it just wasn't quite ready for it. But they're the most amazing people. They're like, we know it's not ready, but we want you to be here. We want to build this. This is a service the community needs.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to be here, we want you. So once again, I go to Sarah, my Jiminy Cricket, and said, hey, what do you think? And she's like, yeah, let's go drive. And we drove and we found it. And, we fell in love with Nephi. Nephi feels like home for us. We love this area. We love the valley. We love the people. So we jumped on there and started working. I did what I do. I built another business. It started to grow, and it grew, and it grew. And then it got to a point where I couldn't handle it on my own. And times are such that it's just hard to get people here.
Yeah.
And, I talked to the administration, and they're my friends to this day. I consider them really dear friends, and I'm grateful for them forever because of, taking that risk on me. They didn't need to do that. And I talked to my friends, and I said, look, maybe it'd be good if I just step out and I can start a company, and you guys can maybe bring another people in, because this valley needs help.
Yes.
And, we agreed. We left on great terms. I'm still dear friends with those doctors over there. They're great people. And we started this, and it's been fun. It's been a good roller coaster to be on. You have your ups, you have your downs, you have your moments of triumph, but it's been fun.
Yeah.
So what brought you here?
Well, after I graduated with my bachelor's, I ended up working as a case manager for a few years, and that also includes the time that I was also working towards my master's as well. And as a case manager, I did a lot of work with varying different levels of acuity. So, again, we're dealing with people who have pretty significant or high mental health issues to people who maybe don't have as high of a need, but there still is a need for some sort of assistance.
Right.
Where I was helping them with a lot of daily needs and things of that nature. And once I got my master's, I ended up doing work in nursing facilities. I also did work in substance use as well for a while. But the thing that I felt like I was constantly running into that was hard was feeling like I could do more in helping my clients. The place I had worked for prior, I mean, great. The people who work there are amazing. They do a lot of good work.
I've worked with them before.
Yeah. The struggle, though, often came to, having to go through a chain of command about everything, having to get a lot of different things approved, whether it was groups or certain types of, therapies or trainings that you were wanting to do.
Right.
And anyways, I always felt like I was doing all right, but I could do better. And what I thought was really kind of serendipitous about that is around that time, I remember I was sitting there just thinking, I need to do something more. I need to do what I was seeking to do. Like I said, I wanted to be able to help people to my full capacity. And what was actually kind of funny is around that time I was having that thought, that's when you had reached out to me. I know it was a few months or several months, I guess, after you had started Pinnacle, and had invited me to kind of come aboard. And I started part-time for a while, working in the evenings and maybe sometime on the weekends. And then eventually we were able to come on full-time. And since then, it's really been amazing being able to have that opportunity to help people in the way that I feel like I need to, and not feeling like there's so many hoops that need to be jumped through to provide that help for people.
Right.
But I guess I'm curious, Dwayne, what for you do you think is missing when it comes to mental health treatment?
Missing?
Yeah, and like why has Pinnacle been so important for you? Because like you said, you were in a good position. I mean,
Oh yes, I was getting paid very well as a therapist, especially as therapists go over there. They were very good to me.
and so something must have you must have felt that there needed to be a change in this need that you felt was present here in this town
Yeah.
or in this valley, that you decided to take that risk.
Well, the truth is how Sarah and I, because she's a partner here, we came across this idea. Was we went on a cruise with my parents. It was kind of a bucket list cruise that they wanted to go on, and it was one of the first real vacations I had. And I don't know, it had been a long time. I was on call all the time there.
Yeah, you were kind of the Swiss Army knife of therapists
Oh
and mental
yeah.
health over there,
Oh
weren't you?
yeah, it was. Yeah, we got stories, and and I was thinking, I was out on this cruise, and I'm looking. This is one of the first times I really got to spend a lot of time with my kids in a real meaningful way. I mean, they were, I don't know, 10 and 8 roughly about that time, and I had so much fun.
Yeah.
And I've always known that the most important thing to me is my family.
Right.
But I couldn't be there for them in the capacity I was staying. And so when Sarah and I were on a walk, we were like walking around, and I'm like, what can we do? And so my first thought was, okay, what needed for me was my family. I need to put my family first again.
Right.
And so if I took a pay cut, I took a pay cut. I can deal with that. But then how? Because I wanted to make this valley big. This valley needs help. Because of my roles at the hospital, I knew intimately the pulse of this valley. I worked with every agency. I knew the people here. I loved the people here. I knew what it needed. And I knew I needed more people. And so it kind of came, for me, why it started was because the people needed it. Money comes and goes. I can honestly look at camera or any person in the eye and say, I don't work for money. I work because I want to have fun. It's got to have meaning. It's got to have purpose. But that cannot override my other goals of I need to take care of my family and I got to be there with them. And so that came about this way. And so what me leaving created space for more therapists to come in the valley. And that's what was needed here. And and I mean, I sometimes feel bad for you. I mean, we've been on a roller coaster for 18 months of us going like,
Yeah.
what is this fun? Like, woo, success. And then we're like, wait a second, that didn't work.
As we figure things out. Right?
Yeah, as we're figuring things out. And to be fair, that's again is another appeal of starting something fresh. It's like, okay, you're figuring new things out. Back there, I was working under the hospital, the umbrella of somebody else. Here, it's like, okay, what are you going to market? What are you going to design here? And one of those things, I guess, would be, I don't know, more like kind of like, I saw limitations within the profession. What does there's red tape everywhere. And it's frustrating. So how can we break through that? How can I train and get the best therapists?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned training. I guess I'm curious, what do you feel is lacking in training when it comes to the field of mental health, especially when it comes to therapists? What's lacking?
To me, one of the biggest things that happens for me, and I feel bad, is I remember that very first time I got thrown into, a therapy office. You have clients there, and you're like, hey, go help them. And you're like, I mean, luckily this was in graduate school, right?
Right.
And so you have your graduate professors there. There was a ton of supervision, and they did a great job preparing me. But it was still hard. It's nerve-wracking because, I mean, you're in your 20s, and my first couple were definitely not in their 20s. They were in their almost 40s. And they're like, okay, I'm supposed to know more than them. And they definitely have had more experience than me.
Mm-hmm.
And like it or not, we could say we're not the expert in the room, but our clients are going to perceive us as the expert in the room.
Yeah.
I mean, and why shouldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're paying us to come and help them.
Yeah.
So yes,
They're investing time, all sorts of things.
and so that put on a lot of pressure. I mean, do you remember that pressure? I mean, am I
yeah.
the crazy one?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. And, and I remember, the first appointment that you do, and you're sitting there across from someone and you're supposed to help them. And yeah, you sometimes get that feeling of that deer in the headlights look, especially when they bring something up out of nowhere and you're thinking, I remember reading about that.
Right.
What do I do?
Well, yeah, or it's like, you're like, oh, wait, there's like, who should I go with? Like Eric Erickson, or should I go with, a cognitive behavioral approach or emotionally focused approach, or
Solution based.
Yeah. I mean, that's an easy one to start with, right? Because it's comfortable for us. Well, how do we fix this?
Right.
And that kind of, that's a little more comfortable for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's intense, and you realize real quick when you're in the arena, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna get punched in the face.
Yep.
Heck, I'm gonna fail them.
Well, it's even that first appointment is crazy, but I can remember the first time that you're put in a situation where you are supposed to help de-escalate someone who is well beyond the the help of many other people, and you're the expert, right?
Right.
Go calm this person down who is wanting to harm themselves or someone else. Good
Right.
luck.
Yeah. And I mean, on top of that, so you're trying to balance out like the theoretical approach to therapy, but then you're also like trying to be human in there, not a robot.
Yeah.
And the pressure was real. And so kind of going to your question, I think one of the things is why training, I think, is such an important part of it, is because the old model is that. Like I used to, when I was over at the hospital, I would bet more than half of my, I can't remember exact statistics, but I know more than half of my referrals were always word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a significant percentage of that remaining percentage that came from other agencies in the area.
Right.
Because they're like, we've heard such good things from you, and our other therapist wasn't working. So, and it's not because these other agencies are bad. They are doing their best, and sometimes it's just to fit a therapist,
Mm-hmm.
right? I've had plenty of therapists that are like, Dwayne, you are a total douchebag.
Yep.
And I'm not coming back. And it makes you sad, but you realize you can't help everybody, right?
Right.
So sometimes it's a fit thing.
You can't make everyone happy.
Right. And sometimes that fit makes all the difference in the therapy, right? But sometimes it is the training. Knowing how to walk into the ugly, what I call, with people. The deep, dark secrets they don't want to tell anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Walking in there and making them feel safe. Not judged. That comes from training. And I am so grateful for all my previous trainers who taught me different things. So what these other agencies often do is they'll send new therapists under an associate license into the room and say, hey, go do therapize these people. And they're like, wait, what do I do?
Yep.
And so that's one of the purposes of Pinnacles. I need to create a different model, a different plan for new therapists. And one day we'll get there.
Yeah.
That's one of those red tapes. One day, it's not about money. It's about producing the absolute best therapists. whether they stick with us or not, I hope they do when they get them.
Yeah.
Well, maybe some could, hey,
it's
severance package.
Yeah.
But I think we'll get along because we do a lot of interviewing. But it's going to be, I want to create something that's, because if I have the best trained therapist, then they are going to make the best difference. But more importantly, because, like I said, my number one priority is my family. What's it like when you've had a hard day as a therapist?
Oh man, it's difficult because number one, you're emotionally drained.
Right.
But number two, it's not like you can go home and tell your spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever your significant other is, hey, you won't believe what happened today.
Exactly. You don't get that opportunity.
No. And sure, maybe you can talk in some generalities, but still you feel like you're the one carrying the load, the emotional weight.
You're an island, right?
Right. And not only are you an island, but you're the island who cannot fail, because if you fall, then all the problems of those people who you're trying to help, you feel, are going to also fall as well.
And then also, if you go home to your kids and you're like,
oh man, I know there's been so many times where I've come home after a rough day and perhaps I've maybe been a little bit more curt than I needed to be with my kids.
Right.
And that's hard.
It is hard. And then they're like, call Dad, you're being a jerk.
Yeah.
And they're like, I can't tell you why I'm a jerk. Let me tell you about my day. Wait, I can't.
Yeah. Yep.
And so that's another reason why this is here, is because if I could train the best therapist, then they're going to have resources.
Yes.
They're not going to be afraid.
Yes.
They'll know how to handle these things.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can go home and be great parents, great spouses.
Yeah.
They can go home and take care of, to me, what's more important to me than, like I told you when we hired, I said, what's more important to me than you having clients is you being with your family.
Right.
Taking care of their needs. And as therapists don't get that.
No.
And that's what I want. I want to build a family first. Because if we're good at home, then our kids are going to grow up and make a difference in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a great impact. The most significant impact.
Yeah.
But then that also alleviates a burden. We're not sitting in the office and saying, oh crap, I got to now figure out how to get home and go to this basketball game. And then I got volleyball. And then,
Mm-hmm.
I got to do shopping this week. That's one I hate the most.
Oh. Mine is thinking about I got to come home and what are all the chores that I know I need to get done.
We are different. I love cleaning.
Oh.
But if I've had a rotten day at work and I'm like, my kids will learn this, I'm like, Dad's cleaning, leave him alone.
Oh, see, and for me, there's a reason why my wife does the shopping and I don't, because I'm one of those. She's told me, there's a reason why I don't like to take you to Costco. It's because we leave with a couple $100 typically extra than what I was planning on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sarah tells me the same thing. You're welcome, Costco.
That's right. Sponsor us.
Yes, please. That's funny.
But coming back, I agree the importance of training, because I think that the quality of therapy is much more important than having an overabundance of options.
Right.
I've had many, I guess, in my own experience, I've had too many people mention to me before, just in the practices that I've been able to do here while at Pinnacle, clients coming in and then telling me their quote unquote, I guess you could say, horror stories of what they've experienced with other therapists. And when listening to a lot of those, my heart goes out to a lot of it, because I see that there is such a lack of training and being able to meet the client where they're at.
Right. And it is, I think it's kind of a kind of a problem systemically within therapists. Like, therapists don't make a ton of money, contrary to popular opinion,
Yeah.
right?
Right?
And so they're like, wait, you want me to spend $4,000 on a training? Really?
Uh-huh.
And people are like, no, I don't see any point in that. But
Yeah,
I think we're
$4,000 training, and you know what? We'll pay $500 for that. You know, the agency, right? The
Right,
agency
the
saying,
agency saying
I'm
that,
going to
yeah.
kick in $500 for you. So
Yeah. And you know, and when you think about that as like $4,000, you're like, that's like what, 10%? You know, 5% of my income? That's a lot of money to invest in one training.
yeah,
But to me, that's worth it. You know, as I said about reading, I love business books. I'm the nerd of nerds. Like, I'm terrible at reading fiction books. I'll read a finance book. I'll read a business book. I love biographies. Biographies that thrill me. But you know, there's a very big business principle that says, you know, for every dollar you invest in yourself, you should expect 10 in return.
yeah.
And I found that true. I mean, we put you through some pretty good trainings, right?
Oh yeah. No, for sure. Trainings that I know I had wanted for a long time, but as we mentioned, I guess in, you know, the brief examples that you mentioned, yeah, just didn't have the ability to fully cover. I mean, the agency where I was at previously, they told me what they could help with, and then also suggested perhaps maybe that I should look at a cost-effective type of a training, you know, for whatever it was. Basically meaning, why don't you just choose a cheaper rate
Right.
for the training? But I'm very much along the lines of, you know, especially when it comes to trainings, like you get what you pay for.
Exactly.
And so, you know, I didn't want to pay for subpar training. I wanted the best, but I wasn't able to afford it.
And it's hard. But, you know, and it kind of goes to the training, like you were and I were talking about. Like, I've had many clients, your clients, tell me he's amazing. And well, even I was talking the other day, you were saying that, you know, that client who told you about, I told you stuff in 2 days more than what I told the other therapist, in 5 months, I believe, right?
Yeah, it was like, yeah, for 5, 6 months they had worked with another therapist a few years ago, and yeah, they barely had scratched the surface regarding many different things.
So how has that training helped you dive into that stuff, make people feel safe?
Well, I think it's definitely given me a better understanding of knowing how to help the client feel more safe regarding these things that they've experienced in their life.
Right.
Helping perhaps normalize some of those, but also providing explanations. I don't know if this is what it's like for you with the clients you've worked with, but I feel like many times providing an explanation or perhaps an idea as to why they might be having a difficulty, and you know, maybe it's the way they're thinking or they're acting out in a certain way, or struggling in some way, and you being able to say, you know what, I wonder if it's because of this, and how this created this pattern in your life, and how calming that ends up being for them. I feel like a lot of times, I mean, many of the times, I feel like the reasons people come in for therapy is to be able to have an answer for something, right? And being able to help provide a potential answer, or even something that could resemble one, that can mean the world.
But I agree with you, but I also think sometimes it's not even just the answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes it is very therapeutic just to be able to say what has never been said.
Yeah.
To put to words all the pain that they've gone through.
Right. Like, I can't tell you how many times sitting with a client, and like you mentioned, helping clients be able to feel like what, or being able to provide those words for them, or at least this space for them to actually recognize what's happened or what's gone on for them.
Right.
And I feel like some therapists are scared at times to venture into those deep, dark holes with them.
And I don't blame them. Like, I agree, it's the training. Like, I remember one trainer asked me, I said, I wonder if it's hard for you to sit with that sort of emotion. And I had to reflect on that, because that could be a very condemning type way of saying it, but it came from a place of absolute compassion and love for me. And I had to say, yeah, I'd much rather, as a therapist, say, oh, well, do this, because sometimes I don't have to hold it.
Yeah.
Then I don't have to go into that stuff. But what I've learned is that the beauty of therapy, this is something we joke all the time about. People often say, what the heck is wrong with you? Like, why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would be even funnier if people knew what we got paid. Like, what the heck is wrong with you?
Like, really, there must be something wrong with you.
There's totally something wrong with you. But they're like, people are like, how could you do that? You're sitting there with all that. But the miracle therapy is not that we're sitting with it. The miracle therapy is watching our clients find their strength, their courage, their own insight, understanding, and then they grow. And that's such a sacred and an amazing experience to watch happen.
Yeah.
And as they grow, you're like, wow. And I did little. All I did was be there to provide that space.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All I did was be there to listen. And oftentimes I find that clients come in with a question, and I don't have to answer it. All I had to do is help them create space where they can answer it for themselves. And that was very powerful. And I learned that after that experience with that mentor who said, I wonder if it's hard. It was.
Yep.
It is not comfortable hearing about, I still to this day refuse to treat children. Because when I started this, I had 2 little girls. And my best friend in the world, Sarah, like, I don't want to hear that. I couldn't. I still can't. Emotionally, that would crush me. And I'm grateful that there are people like you who can handle some of that. Like, there's something about little children that I can't. It would still too hard. So I worked and focused on teenagers and up, and I work great in these groups.
Yeah.
But it is a heavy load for us to sit with. And as therapists, sometimes it's hard for us to know that it's okay to have our needs met. And training taught me that. The expensive trainings taught me that.
Yeah.
And the additional training of diving deeper into each model has trained me to think differently, to see how the experts in the world see it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that people miss. I don't have to recreate the wheel by going to these trainings.
Oh my gosh.
I could just be there, be near, and steal IQ points from these other more incredible therapists than myself, and then learn and be better.
So, I guess what I think is important is, as you mentioned, being able to have good quality training, but also being able to have good experience in knowing how to apply those types of things,
Yes.
right? And not being afraid to try and fail at times, right?
Good point.
Yeah.
I've done that. I'm an expert at falling on my face now. Surprised my nose isn't flatter.
Yeah. And I think that it can be so beneficial when working with clients. I mean, that I feel like you mentioned, when we first start out as, the baby therapists,
Right.
there is such a fear of failure. You don't want to say the wrong thing. You don't want to perhaps upset them or trigger them or something like that. And so everything comes out very generic and vanilla.
Well, and that's a good point as therapists. And this is why I think training's so amazing. Because you're right, it is hard. But if you don't have to go into that darkness of failure alone, it makes it so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
And so if we can get therapist mentors that are amazing, which we'll talk more about later, but it will make a difference in our world.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here. We're here to make a difference. That's what Pinnacle's about, is making a difference, create memories, have fun, laugh.
We've had a lot of fun.
We've had a lot of fun. It's to meet incredible people.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the payout of being a therapist, is meeting incredible people.
So, you mentioned we're almost out of time, but I guess to let our audience know, what can they be expecting in this journey as we continue moving forward with this podcast?
To me, hold on to your pants, because I have no idea yet. We make things up as we go here. But the purpose, really overarching, is to educate, to help normalize.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about depression, but as clinicians.
Yeah.
Like, what's it like for us?
Well, and I think it's important to also know is we don't want to rehash what's already been said.
Right.
Because you can go and you can Google or YouTube videos on depression, and there's going to be 10,000 results that are all basically the same thing.
Exactly.
I think it's important to understand that what we want to do is be able to talk about it in perhaps a different light or in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to perhaps see the strengths that do lie within some of those things, such as depression or anxiety,
Right.
or many other disorders that people experience, struggles that they have. There's many things that I feel like is often overlooked because we only see it as a problem.
Right. I mean, I want to talk about the origins of these, illnesses. I want to talk about, so people can have an understanding of how we came to diagnose.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about whatever is important to the world. One of our biggest things we spend 99% of my time with in this job is trauma.
Mm-hmm.
We do so much trauma work.
Yeah.
And how that influences people. I want to talk about whatever is important in the world.
Yeah.
But again, have fun.
That's right.
We'll do it.
That's right. We're going to explore many of those heavy subjects, but try to keep it a little light.
It will be light.
But anyways, we thank you all who have sat and listened to us jabber for a little while, and we hope that you join us next time on the lighter side of heavy things.